Welcome to a special episode. This is really exciting. Some of you have already met State Treasurer Lynn Rogers, and the rest of you will have that opportunity because he is going to tour all 79 JAG-K programs this year. And I was joking the other day that I haven't visited all 79 JAG-K programs in 1 year. So he's way ahead of me, but I'm really looking forward to talking to him about the tour, about some of the things that are going on in the treasurer's office. And there's a special surprise. And we're going to get to that on this episode of Coffee with Chuck. Welcome back. Okay, today is really cool. We have the state treasurer with us, State Treasurer Lynn Rogers, and I'm going to visit with him a little bit about his background and about the tour, but I wanted to let you in on a little secret. We are doing two projects today. Not only are we doing Coffee with Chuck, but Treasurer Rogers is also doing his own video project that involves social media, talking about the tour and maybe some of the things they're doing in the treasurer's office. So this is going to be fun. You guys are behind the scenes a little bit, but we're going to get a lot of really good information from today's program. So welcome, Treasurer Rogers. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for letting me be with you today too, Chuck. This is a great opportunity to talk about a great program.
Well, thank you. And so we might as well just go ahead and talk about the things that you would like to visit about regarding JAG-K. I know you already know a lot about the program. And if you want to ask me, or if you need that for your program, go ahead and do that. Or if you just want me to say a few things about JAG-K, let me know what works best for you.
Okay, well, that'd be great. I do appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to touring all of the different sites. My only concern of the 79 positions or 79 programs is that you guys have been growing so fast that I may never get done with this tour because you'll keep adding more schools and more programs, which is a great problem to have. So looking forward to that. So, but I'm glad we get to spend some time to talk about our partnership with JAG-K. And, you know, all of you all know that JAG-K means Jobs for America's Graduates, Kansas. Provide us a little bit of an overview of the program for folks that are following the Treasurer's site.
Sure. Well, what we are doing at JAG-K, we're part of a national organization. There are 40 state affiliate organizations. We're one of the 40. This is our 9th year in Kansas. We're established as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, but our goal is to help students prepare for successful futures. We are an in-school program. It's an elective class. The students need to qualify to be in the program, but they're going to learn career and leadership development skills. And there are many different aspects of the program. There's something we call the JAG Advantage. That entails project-based learning, trauma-informed care, and employer engagement. And not only are our students graduating at a high rate, they're going to be prepared for successful career paths, whether that goes through a 4-year college, or Wichita State Tech, Washburn Tech, or directly into the workforce or the military with marketable skills that will allow them to be successful in whatever path they choose.
Well, that's great. Why do you think it's important that I get out and visit the JAG-K programs, or anyone come to see what's going on with JAG-K?
Right. Well, it's important because there are several different aspects of the model. This is an evidence-based model, and financial literacy, or financial education, as you would say, is a part of that, along with community service. And the state treasurer's office has a plethora of programs and resources that not only will help our students, but help their families as well.
Well, it has been fun for the 5 or 6 schools that I've visited so far, and met with both middle school kids and high school kids, and so that's been exciting to visit with them. We talk about our unclaimed property. We talk about, our learning quest and some of those kind of things. And that's been a tremendous opportunity to visit with students and hear directly from them what's on their mind and the kind of questions they have about their financial future. So.
Right. I know on the tour, and I've only had the chance to see you visit with one of our schools. I know you've done more than that, but you also spoke to all of our staff this summer at our state training, and that was beneficial to our staff so they could know about the Quest 529 Education Savings Program and the Scholar Shop. I was wondering if maybe you could talk a little bit more about those things, and I know you're going to talk about them on the tour. But yeah. Is there anything more that you'd like to say about those while we've got people?
Well, one of the things that I talk about on the tour, not only, as I mentioned, the Learning Quest 529s, but remind them that they can encourage their parents and grandparents to open an account. They get a tax deduction from their Kansas income tax, $3,000 for an individual, $6,000 for a couple. We have a crowdsourcing mechanism that kids can share with their aunts and uncles, and if they don't want to get a gift that doesn't mean a whole lot to them, the other individuals can contribute to these students' college educations. And again, the 529 can be used, as you mentioned with your program, that you're encouraging them more than just a 4-year school, but vocational 2-year apprenticeship. That's how the Learning Quest can be used for everybody from that standpoint too. And so we're encouraging people to do that. Besides the tax deduction going in, any earnings that they make on the account when they come out, and if they use it for approved tuition and fees and even living expenses, dorm fees, those kinds of things, those are the earnings are also tax deductible. So it's a great program where students can start one with even their own earnings, and then use it not even for their undergraduate, but if they choose to go back for a master's or a professional degree, they can do the same kind of a thing with the account. We also talk about our Scholar Shop program, which is a partnership that we have with Sallie Mae, and that's where a student can create an account with the Scholar Shop, and they can access over 6 million scholarships for over $30 billion. That has been extremely exciting and very popular with the students, particularly juniors and seniors, as they start preparing for college. We talk in these sessions about the average cost of tuition, even on a community college basis. You've got to put a lot of money aside or take out a lot of loans. And if they can get 10 or 20% of that paid for with scholarships, that will help them for years, that for loans that they don't have to repay. So I think it's been really cool to be able to meet with students, talk to them about why education is important at any level, and that there's so many career choices. It's been fun to be there. It's much easier to be able to root for these students once I get to know them a little bit.
And you have been rooting for them for a long time, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but as a school board member on the Wichita School Board, you've been supportive of JAG-K, and certainly we've appreciated that from your time on the school board to the state senate to lieutenant governor, and now in your current position. So you're not a bandwagon fan. I do know that, but we'll maybe touch on that a little bit later. I wanted to go back to one of the things you talked about, and you may have answered the question, but there are a lot of savings opportunities for college. You mentioned the tax advantages, but are there other reasons that families should choose the 529 option over some of the other savings options for college?
Well, the tax benefits are big. The professionalism that these accounts provide to families are big. We use American Century Investments out of Kansas City, a professionally run organization that does provide a number of different options. So you can invest conservatively to very aggressively, and help you make the best decision to earn the most possible. I think some people get a little worried about investments and if they don't understand them, they might lose money. And of course, when you invest, there is risk, but having this professional oversight is a great thing. It's something we work with the American Century folks on. When I saved for my kids, I wasn't aware of the 529 accounts, and so we put money aside for our kids. But having this account, at the end, you set it up for a child maybe when they're 2 or 3, and when they get to be 18 and go to college, if they choose not to go to college for some reason, they go to the military. You can either hold it for when they're out of the military, or you can name a different beneficiary. So again, there's just a lot of flexibility on these accounts to use them for different people. And then you always can take the proceeds out as well. There is a tax consequence, but a lot of flexibility and availability for all of our students.
Well, we're very excited about the tour, and you mentioned the things you're going to talk about. I think the question and answer period, at least that I saw, is very beneficial as well. So to us as an organization, it's really important that our students have an opportunity to talk to and ask questions of an elected official, a statewide elected official. So the information you give them is valuable, but I know that they ask questions that may not be related to a 529 account or, scholar shop. They may ask you why you ran, or, something generally about government. And certainly you've had a lot of experience in different levels of government. So that's important, that our students know that their elected officials are real people, that they have experiences outside of their current office. And so I think that's one of the reasons this tour is so important for our students, in addition to the very valuable information you're giving them. And one of the goals of JAG-K is to introduce our students to a variety of career paths, let them hear from a variety of different people that have different backgrounds, different stories. And we often say we don't define success for our students, we just help them achieve it. And by having you come in, you are providing a valuable resource in helping them achieve their version of success. And so we really have appreciated your commitment to the tour, and certainly the things that you've been talking about have been helpful.
I often ask the students to begin with if they've ever heard that Kansas has a state treasurer, and I don't get a huge number of hands going up, but then I get to talk a little bit about school board. And they're aware of the school board. They aware of the legislature, the state senator job that I had, and so yeah, we have been able to talk about some of those. Some of those kids come up later and talk about that they would like to run for something someday. I encourage them to make sure they're registered to vote and ready to go. And it seems like for the most part so far, the middle school students have a lot more questions than the high school students. So we're going to have to ask the high school students to catch up a little bit. But, we talk about everything from checking accounts to, the history of how credit bureaus work and credit ratings and all types of financial questions. So they're eager to learn, and I encourage them. A lot of times they don't have to know everything. They shouldn't feel upset or concerned if they don't know everything about finances, but learn a little bit on every day or every week, so that they can grow in their ability to support themselves and be successfully, not just financially, but in their careers and in their life.
When we talk about financial education or financial literacy, there are so many aspects to that, budgeting, but also the importance of good credit and establishing credit and being responsible for credit. And so there's so many aspects of that. And I know that we've talked about, and you've really been looking for some kind of consistency in financial education throughout the state with our students, and maybe even having some conversations with the State Department of Education. It's certainly something that we've been interested in, and I know you have. What do you think are some of the basics, like the 3 or 4 basic elements of financial education?
Well, one of the questions I ask a lot of the students is if they have a bank account, savings account, or checking account. And I've been really positively encouraged by the number of kids that have an account to begin with. And because, about 20% of America doesn't have access to a bank account, or either by choice or even by the fact that they don't have a financial institution that will do one at a effective cost or close location, and that really limits what you can do. So we talk a little bit about the having that bank account, making sure that they keep track of how much goes in and how much goes out, that they don't overdraw it, that they know that can have a big impact on their credit rating. We then talk about the credit rating, how that can be improved. They can borrow a small loan and pay it back, and how the financial institution will report that to the credit bureau agency. And then I remind them too, in a lot of cases, that credit bureau, that credit rating, it affects how much they pay for car insurance, how much the opportunities when they could rent an apartment, a lot of consequences that if they don't take that credit rating serious, it can really affect their life just in the next couple years. And I tell them the difference of even car insurance, from having a good credit rating to a bad credit rating. So I think being able to have that bank account, have a credit rating that is positive, being able to know how to borrow and pay it back, whether it's a credit card or an installment loan. And then I think help them prepare for savings. The three most important things that people save for is their kids' education, for their first house, for a down payment, and then finally for retirement. And I encourage, even high school kids to start thinking about retirement, because if they contribute for 40 years, or even the first 10 years of their career, they're going to have more money at 65 than if they just put in a huge amount at age 55. So that long-term compound interest can make a huge impact in their lives. So in some cases, I know this is the first time they've been exposed to it. Other kids have been able to watch their parents. I do encourage the kids to talk to their parents about the bills that their parents have to pay, so they get a little bit better understanding of what their parents struggle with and what they do. Again, oftentimes in America, we don't talk about finances. We kind of keep them quiet and private. And I think we need to be able to share a little bit more, so that we have the ability to tap into resources and our communities of support.
You mentioned savings and the importance of that. And obviously retirement is one of those long-term, if you can and should. And we have talked to our high schoolers about that, about retirement, because it makes it a lot easier if you start now than at 50.
Yeah.
But when you were young, what was the first thing you actually saved for? Like you dreamed of having, and you put money away because that's what you wanted to do.
Well, I had a passbook savings account. A lot of kids today wouldn't know what a passbook is, but that was the old, it was just a little book that the bank would put in a deposit every time you went in. And I think every time we got birthday money, we would go to the bank and deposit it. And I still have it. The account has been closed, but it shows $1 here or $2 there for contributions. And so I was saving probably as year after I was born. But I remember when I was 16, I got a car and I had to pay back my dad. And so he fronted the loan, but then, I had to save a certain amount each month. I think it was about $1,200, which at that time was a huge amount. It was only a 2 or 3 year old car. So today's, $20,000, $30,000 cars, folks have to save a lot longer for, but it was a huge purchase. And once I paid that last payment, I was pretty proud of myself, because I'd made that goal, and it's helped me ever since, even in being married and having kids, not to extend the credit card bills, but to save up for whatever we need to have and have an emergency fund, those kinds of things. So how about you? What'd you save for?
It was actually, well, golly, probably comic books. I don't have as good a story as you, but I actually got a loan early in life. I was in 4-H. And so my first loan was for a pig for my 4-H swine project. And Newton Mail was the banker. I don't know if you remember Newton Mail, but he was with Prairie State Bank. And, at that time, the bank was probably a weekly trip. We owned a farm, or my parents had a farm. And so we had a good relationship with the bank.
Yeah.
But I think it's different now with technology. People may never walk into a bank. They may do everything online.
Yeah.
And so it's changed. And we've actually started a partnership with the Young Bank Officers of Kansas to introduce the financial industry to our students. And we're really excited about that partnership. But I know you spent about 30 years in the banking industry. I'd like to kind of talk about that, but also, how did you get there? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up, and how did it end up to where you are now?
When I was young, I was very involved in and interested in public affairs and government and things like that. So, as a young kid, I always thought, okay, I want to be the president of the United States. And so I was going to go to law school and do all these kinds of things. And I remember in college, going to college, right before that, I had a banker actually tell me that he was an attorney and he was also a banker, and he enjoyed banking a lot more because he dealt with a lot more people, and that when he needed an attorney, he hired one. And so I went into business administration because I really do like people, like customer service, being able to interact with people. And banking really allowed me to do that. So I loved the marketing, talking to folks. And I remember my very first job in the banking world, I was a customer service rep, or a new accounts clerk. And people would sit down and talk. And one of my very first customers came in, and she had overdrawn her bank account by a huge amount of money. And so I told her, I said, "You don't have enough money in the account, you've overdrawn it." She said, "Well, I can't. That can't be true, because I still have checks left." And no, that's not how it works. And so that was really kind of the test for me to say, hey, we can help people improve their lives. They can do a lot more if they know how to use financial services. So that's really what kind of got me on the financial circuit. Again, why the treasurer's office fits as well. But people really do need and want help. And so I think it's, for me, the whole decision of a position that I would enjoy, and working with people. And there's some folks that that may not be their thing, and being behind the scenes is good. But I said, if you can find a job that you like, it's a lot easier to go to that each and every day. And then I also usually try to remind kids too that while I worked for the same company for 30 some years, I had multiple jobs during that period of time. So we always have to be ready, keep our skills sharp, so that we can do something, a new opportunity that comes up.
You mentioned that you had an interest in public service at an early age. Why did you, or what allowed you at the time, or what inspired you to run for school board? I don't know if that was the first office you ran for, but that's, as far as I know, that was kind of your entry point into public service, elected public service. How did that all happen? And then it just from there kind of grew. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Very early in my business career, I realized I really didn't want to be president of the United States, and probably wasn't going to be possible. And we were raising a family. My wife and I have 3 kids, and I was able to do my job. And but I was very involved with my kids' schools. I was president of the parent-teacher organization. We organized a yearly auction to raise money for our schools. But I realized our schools were in bad shape physically here in Wichita. And so in 1999, I got involved with a group of parents that wanted to pass a bond issue. And so we organized a plan. We presented it to the school board, and then we held the election. And I was involved with setting that up with a lot of our different schools and parents. And we won the bond issue. And then the board member that was on for my district chose to run for the Kansas Senate. And she asked me to run for school board, and I was motivated because I wanted to make sure that the bond issue got implemented and did what we said it was going to do. And so that was in 2000. I ran, and really wasn't going to run a second term, but the bond issue wasn't quite done. And so I ran again and ran a third time and then ran a fourth time and really was going to be done. But we had a state senator in my area that didn't, senator thing had switched. They didn't want to support public education. And so I ran for Senate and won from my district and sat in the back row of the Senate, then next to then Senator Kelly. And she leaned over one day and asked if I would serve as her running mate for lieutenant governor. And I said, sure. What kind of trouble can that get me into? And so we ran and won. And then she asked me to run for Senate because of my for treasurer because of my banking experience. So really, I had never really planned to go to Topeka, but to me, it's not because I want another position or a higher position. It's really in each level is what could we do to help people. School board was great because I could pursue my job. I could travel for my job occasionally and raise a family and serve in my community. And I tell people my favorite event for schools were always graduation because that was the harvest, so to speak, of the benefit of what we were doing on the school board.
In addition to all of the really good information you'll be sharing, is there anything else that you're going to be talking about on this tour?
Well, one of the exciting things that we're going to be offering to every tour site, every school that we visit, there'll be a $250 529 Learning Quest scholarship that will be awarded to one of the students in that school. It'll be in a 529 account that the students can add to and continue to contribute, but they'll be able to use that for higher education. So after the event, we'll work with the teachers to make sure that one of the students is awarded that. It'll just be a lucky name drawn out of a hat, so to speak. So.
Well, you've certainly shared a lot of information and have done that on the tour. If you were limited to one piece of advice to all of our students in attaining their goals, what would it be?
I think one of the big things that has helped me my whole career is being involved with supportive people, having good friends around you, and you being a good friend as well to contribute to a community and be part of a community. Don't think that you should be a lone ranger because together you can do a lot more as a team than you can as individual. And I see that in your JAG-K programs where you do your community service and things like that. I'm sure that is kind of evidence to these kids that there's some great things they can do together, and serving others, is really never going to disappoint you. It'll be difficult sometimes, but long term, it's really beneficial for the whole community.
Well, State Treasurer Lynn Rogers, we appreciate your time today. We look forward to seeing you in one of our 79 programs, probably just about every day. But I know you've been signed up as a keynote speaker in El Dorado, I think. Oh, I don't know. It's not one of our programs.
Yeah.
And we do appreciate that in this partnership, and certainly look forward to you imparting more wisdom on our students.
Well, thank you. And it's so great to be together today and talk about a great program for Kansas kids. And, our kids are our future for our state. And I do encourage them all to make sure they pursue their careers here in Kansas and want to continue to do that. So we truly are appreciative of the partnership between JAG-K and the State Treasurer's Office. And we look forward to continuing to work together.